Hi, today we are talking about all of the natural, fresh spring and summer look. I'll do my makeup and explain what I love the best for this kind of look in each category. So first let's just put on sunscreens. There's no particular favorite in this category, so I'm just using what I am loving recently. Ali Gel UV EX. It's a Japanese, kind of in the affordable category sunscreen. It looks the best in my experience under makeup. The one downside is this has, I don't want to say bad, but it does have some, as you can see, white cast. Okay, now it's rubbed in. I think you can tell that it still has a little bit of the white cast, but it's not like super intense on my light medium skin tone eyelid. But I feel like if you are more than a medium skin tone, you definitely have to consider there's a white cast. The white cast does come down a little bit after maybe 10 minutes of application. So the next, foundation or concealer. I don't layer the two. I just don't find the need to cake on foundation and layer even more product on top. I just use one of them. My favorite is, if it's for foundation, I love to use light medium, fresh looking, not too dewy, because I find overly dewy foundation actually don't look right after you wear it for like a couple hours. When my skin is dry, it tends to like crack, which is weird because it's dewy, it should be hydrating, right? But it's not like that. Or if I'm oily, it just moves around a lot, even though I set it with powder and such. But I always find these kind of light medium or medium coverage natural finish foundation just looks very nice in the dry season. You just have to hydrate your skin with skincare properly, because foundation isn't going to provide you that much of moisture. Or if I would use a concealer, I would use a lightweight concealer, which I like these two. Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. This is like basically the same with the Luminous Foundation. I'm talking about the formula. But this is a little bit more dewy and fresh and lightweight, which is weird. You would think foundation and concealer would be the thicker one in the same line, right? Because we will think that concealer will have like more coverage, and so that the formula will be thicker. But it's not the case with this one. I have Declutter, but I had a bottle of Luminous Silk foundation. I don't find that foundation to be very luminous at all. And actually this one is more luminous than that one. I feel like that one is more of almost a satin matte finish. This is more of a natural luminous finish, and it's very lightweight. It's not high coverage, at least what I am getting from this concealer. And the next is this Dewy Backstage Concealer. This concealer is actually very nice as well. I would say it's light medium coverage, maybe the same or a little bit more than this Armani one. And yeah, I just find this blends very nicely into my skin. Even though I'm not wearing that much foundation on other area, I don't find it's like a block of concealer and then bare skin. It doesn't leave your skin look like that. It's like maybe brightens your skin a little bit, but it still blends with the rest of your face, like bare face. So yeah, when I only wearing a little bit concealer around the highlighting point, I would choose this one. If I want to just use concealer everywhere as a foundation, I will use this one. But if I'm going to use foundation, I use this. I had like over 70 of foundation in my collection in the past, and I have almost decluttered them all. And this is almost the only foundation that left in my collection, because I just find this is the best among all of the 70 foundation. Today I'm gonna still use this one because I'm trying to finish this one. It's like over 2 years old. It's the time to finish this one. And I don't apply a lot of this. Even this amount is actually kind of a lot. But today I'm using a sponge which will absorb some of the product I'm placing on my face. But I still have a lot on my finger. And I'm not even taking that much from the container, which is probably why 2.5 years later my favorite foundation still is not finished. I just don't use that much. And I'm using this puff I got from Daiso. It's like $1 and it's like a sponge and cushion foundation pad in one. You know, you can see it's like a very big and puffy. Like it's way more puffy than a normal cushion pad. This is a normal, you know, those little pads from cushion foundation, and this is the sponge. Like it's half a sponge, half of this cushion pad. You put your finger in this part, right? I just find it gives way more control than a sponge. Maybe it's just me. And why I like this sponge is because it kind of absorbs a little bit more than a beauty blender, which is probably weird because that's the last thing people want, like your sponge absorbing your product. But I just find to spread an even layer of foundation but still remain somewhat natural, a sponge that's gonna absorb some of the product is kind of necessary. Because if you don't use enough, it kind of is gonna be a little bit patchy. It's not like an even layer. So you're gonna use more. But if you use more, then the tool is not absorbing the product. It's gonna look thick, right? So yeah, I just find this way it's better. And it's not like it's absorbing all of that, right? I still got like a light coverage. Like you can see the redness and the white cast from the sunscreen is basically covered. But I would say that like I don't have much acne on my face. I have some on my neck, but unless I do this, it's hard to see my acne on my jawline, so I don't really worry about that. So yeah, I guess it's because I don't have that much to cover other than the redness. And the puff absorbing some product for me is actually nice. And this is not hard to clean. You just clean it dry. You let it dry, and I just use some of this sponge cleaner. I use a one from Shiseido. I just put it dry and rub it in and rinse underwater. Very much the way how you remove your makeup with like oil cleanser. You don't wet your face and then use oil cleanser, right? So with the sponge, it's the same. You're gonna use the cleanser while this is dry. I find somebody wet their sponge before they wash it. That's not gonna cleanse it well. Cleanse it dry, okay? The next is some powder. Because this is like a fresh face, I don't want to use too much powder, so let's just use a little bit pressed powder, because I find pressed powder is the best for powder when you want to control where you put your powder, because I find like with loose powder it's kind of easy to take too much. Do you ever like have a runny nose after you blend your foundation? Like every time I blend foundation on my face, my nose is running. And this is just a random powder from the Korean brand Eclipse. It's a nice powder. Nothing special about it, but it's nice. And blend the crease before I set it. And I'm not using a big brush because I'm gonna powder strategically. Okay, I'm gonna powder my eyebrow very well, because eyebrow product won't sit well until your eyebrow is kind of like dry. And I will powder this area between my eyebrow, because I find this area makes you look very oily if you don't set it. And a little bit under my eye, because if I don't set this area, my mascara is gonna smudge. And around my nose. Shiny like around this area make me feel like my nose is running. And a little bit over here, a little bit around this jawline area. Not much powder actually. Basically just whatever is remaining on the brush. I'm barely taking any from the compact. I don't know why, I just don't like this area to be super dewy, but this area can be as dewy as it gets. For eyebrow, I don't want a super strong eyebrow look when I'm doing like a spring or like just a fresh makeup, because I just find like the super dark filled perfect eyebrow doesn't fit that look. So for me, I already have quite a bit of eyebrow hair, so I'm not gonna fill in all that like eyebrow area. Like I'm not fill in every inch of eyebrow where I have hairs. I'm just gonna fill in a little bit of the gaps. So for me, I think the front of my eyebrow has like a pretty good shape and like hair density. I don't know if that's correct English, but at the second half of my eyebrow there's a lot of gap. And I'm not gonna fill in all of them because that's gonna make my eyebrow look like so bulky. I'm just gonna fill in this little area and follow the flow of the front bit. So basically like this. And this is a brush from Wayne Goss. It's the number 21. I don't know if they still have this, but it's actually a great eyebrow brush if you use a eyebrow pencil and you have straight eyebrow. Like my eyebrow is, it has an arch, but it's quite straight. Because this is like so narrow, kind of wide in this way, and the hair is very dense. I find it's like a very easy eyebrow brush to create straight lines or like follow a straight line. I don't really fill out much more than this because I want my eyebrow just look like my eyebrow. I don't want it to look like super makeup-y. And it still looks quite messy, but I feel like this is like a natural messy eyebrow look, and I find the more time you spend on your eyebrow, the less it's gonna look good. So I just try to don't put much effort on my eyebrow, and when I don't put effort, it's actually looking the best. By the way, this little spoolie is from Wayne Goss as well. It's like a very expensive spoolie. I don't know why I bought it, but it is a very great spoolie. Let's put on some bronzer. I'm just gonna put a little bit bronzer on. For bronzer in the spring, the fresh look actually looks better with like a warmer bronzer on. Or if you're gonna do like a very cool tone look, then it's probably better to not use bronzer. Instead use like a contouring powder or like just use your blush to kind of contour this region. But today I'm planning to do a warmer look. I'm gonna use like a very warm bronzer. So this is from Tom Ford, which this one is like several years old and is still going strong. It doesn't matter what bronzer you use, just use the warmer bronzer than you usually do. Or if you already have like a bronzer and a powder blush, you can just mix the two to create. You don't have to buy new ones. I'm just gonna put a very small amount here, which is right under where I will put blush. So basically blend the blush with bronzer. It's probably just my personal preference. I just don't put a lot of bronzer. I don't find the overly bronzed face is like look very nice on me. I just don't like that look, so I just prefer like a very lightly bronzed face. And I want to put some on my eyelid so that my eye is gonna blend with the with the rest of my face. And today I'm gonna do a colorful look. And spoiler alert, it's gonna be, I want to match my shirt. Because I feel like this green is like a very spring summer kind of green. Bronzer is done. You can barely see it, just a little bit around here. So now let's apply eyeshadow. For eyeshadow, I really like these kind of pastel colors in the spring summertime. I just find this color very refreshing, and I love this palette from ColourPop. My nose is running again. Like literally every time I apply makeup, I get a runny nose. I just find for a pastel palette, this is like one of the best formula. It's adhered to your eye very nicely. The pigmentation is there. It also blends really well, and it's not too expensive. I have got the Natasha Denona pastel palette. It's not even as good as this ColourPop one. So if you want a palette looks like this, just get this one. Okay, you don't need the expensive one. So today I'm thinking I want to put a little bit of like brown color in my crease, and I want to use either this lime green or this green color. I'm thinking maybe both. Maybe use this to blend the brown color and this color. So basically the brown and this, and then the gradient is gonna go that way. For the brown color, I'm gonna use this Hindash palette. I will use this color because I find this brown color melt very well with colorful colors. It's probably because it's not too cool toned. It's also not too warm toned. It just adds a little bit of depth, and it's not too pigmented, and that's what I like because I'm not trying to do like a glamorous like brown eyeshadow look. And I'm gonna take the lime green color. This has some glitter in it. It's like a matte base with some glitter in it. It's like a sequin finish, but you're not gonna see the glitter that much once you blend it on your skin. And this is like very sheerly applied. You can see the color is not gone. It's just a sheer lime green color, which I find it's hard like for a pastel shade to perform this way. For example, the Natasha Denona palette, the pastel color, either you really have to pack them on your skin, and if you dare to blend, it's gonna blend into maybe nothing. So yeah, I'm actually impressed by the performance of this ColourPop palette. I'm gonna take that green look that's kind of matching my shirt and put in like a smaller area inside the lime green color. Oh, this green is actually really matching with my shirt, and it's depositing very nice on my skin. And I'm just using like a kind of fluffy synthetic hairbrush, and instead of wiping it, I'm really just patting the color on. Okay, I think that's good enough, and let's do the same to the other eye. Okay, so for my lower lash line, I don't want to put much green on there because I find if I put pastel color on both upper eyelid and lower eyelid, it kind of close my eye. I'm just gonna use some brown from the Hindash palette, and I find in this way the color on my top lid just like pop more. For the next step, let's curl my eyelash. I haven't decided I'm gonna use glitter or not, but I do feel like glitters are like very suitable for this kind of spring summer fresh look. I have 3. This is the one from Addiction. The color is Private Beach. Private Beach. Okay, B-E-A-C-H. But since then they have reformulated and renamed this whole line. So now this shade, Private Beach, it's not the same color. It's not a glitter anymore. It's like a shimmery finish, and it's not even the same color. But there's another shade that's still like a very, very pretty pressed glitter look. And that shade is this one. This is also the old version, and I believe it looks more golden right now. But yeah, I just love the Addiction glitter compact. They are so shiny. I don't even think the camera is doing it right. Can you see how pretty that is? If you ever want to travel to Japan, and you can just go to their counter and they have this whole setup and show you like all of the colors, and there's several, like 2 or 3 shades that are still this like glitter compact kind of finish, and they're also beautiful. And this is Can Make Juicy Pure Eyes. This is the shade 10, but this whole line, they all have this big glitter compact, and I find every one of them so beautiful. Not as chunky as the Addiction one, but yeah, it's still pretty. This shade is actually a limited edition. It's SUQQU single eyeshadow. It's like kind of a dual chrome kind of shade. It shifts into greenish color and it has like a brown base, which could look good, but I just feel like I kind of want to keep it matte. This particular color, the matte finish make it look like more fresh. Okay, for blush, I feel like for spring, if you're gonna use a powder blush, this kind of like cool toned pink or like even a little bit lavendery kind of blush is more fresh kind of look. But if you're gonna use a cream blush, I do like this peachy kind of blush, and based on what kind of look you're gonna do, maybe this kind of color is gonna look nicer if you blend it like sheerly. Actually, my favorite finish of blush is this RCMA Cream Blush Palette number 1. It's about like 30 bucks, but it gives you like 5 shades, and the finish of this is so beautiful. It looks like there's a bug or whatever. The finish just looks like you just put on like an expensive serum on your face. It's like so glowy, and I'm thinking maybe I want to use this shade today. Actually, this blush, this peach color could look nice as well. So I'm thinking maybe I should just use this color, and I will try to show you the glow this one gives. And my favorite color, like shockingly, is actually this super dark red color. That color looks so good if you just blend like a sheer layer across your face. Like I'm constantly looking at that bug on my curtain. Okay. And I actually find the best way to make this blush look glowy is just to use your finger like this. I don't know if you can tell that the glow, but in real life you really can tell pretty well that glow. It's like so beautiful. And if you use this one, this red one, it's gonna give you like a more intense glow. And even though I like to use blush, whenever it's like a fresh look, I actually don't like to apply a lot of blush. I love it to be like in a large area, but I want it to be sheer, if that makes sense. I don't like the like super intense blush, whether it's like in a small area or in a large area. I like to be the color just like very blended across a large area on your cheek. I find that way is the most fresh looking. Probably because if you ever flush on your face, it's just a color that's like all across your face. But if it's like a super flushed color, you just look sunburned, which is not that sunburn look is not good. It's just I don't find it's like a very fresh spring summer look. It's like a deep summer look, right? I really love this finish. It's hard, it's very hard to tell on the camera, but in real life it's like a very natural, fresh, kind of glowy finish. And I'm not gonna put any highlight on that because I don't want to ruin this glow. Whenever I use this blush, I just don't want to put highlight on top, but I do want to put some highlight on my inner corner. I'm just gonna use this one I'm trying to pan. It's ColourPop Super Shock highlight, and I recently seen them doing a cool toned lavender collection, which is very tempting. That color is like looking kind of different, but I'm not gonna get that because I know if I buy that collection, I will be like using that 2 times and declutter it like 6 months later. So I guess it's just one of those launches is like better to just appreciate from far rather than purchase it. For lips, for spring kind of look, I really like that kind of a tint on your lip and then a clear gloss on top, or just a nude gloss. It's not too pigmented and gives you a lot of shine. For the nude gloss, I really like this Lisa Eldridge gloss. The shade is Muse. And when I were using colored, like a rather pigmented lip gloss, I don't really use lip liner because I find when you just put lip liner and make the look like super neat, it just looks more like a glam look. It's less of a fresh look. I feel like a fresh look needs some like randomness, or maybe it's better to say just it needs to have some imperfection to be a fresh look, if that makes sense. So using a lip liner to make the lip line very neat is, in my opinion, it's just not a very fresh of a look. It's just my opinion though. So yeah, if I'm using this gloss, which for me it has like a nice pigmentation, I'm not gonna use other colors. It probably also has something to do with my lip shape and the fact that I have a thin lip. My lip line is like very structured, or like it's like a very 3D. It's a very 3D lip line, so it doesn't do really well with a fresh look if I would put lip liner on top and even emphasize more of that lip line, if that makes sense. But if I would put some color on my lip in a fresh look, I would just use some lip tint and a clear gloss on top. It's like whatever lip tint you have is gonna be okay. If you only have lip liner, basically apply it like a tint. You just dab it all over your lip and like blend it very sheerly and then put a gloss on top if you don't have lip tint. But yeah, I'm gonna use a lip tint. This is from the brand Cezanne. It looks pretty dark the first you apply it, but we're gonna dab it with a tissue paper and then put the gloss on top. I'm gonna leave this for like a minute. It's about a minute. I still left some of the color on. For some reason, it looked more vibrant on the camera than it is in real life. Maybe because of the sweater I'm wearing today. Not sure. And that's it. By the way, this is the Tower 28 Shine On Lip Jelly in the shade Chill. It's just clear lip gloss and gives you like a very nice glass shine. I just find I go through this pretty quickly. It looks like a big tube, but it only has 3.9 mils of product, which is almost a third of this Fenty one. Even this looks smaller, right? This is a Japanese brand called Visay. It's like a lip plumper. This lip plumper looks smaller. It seems like it's 2/3 of the size of this R28 one. But this one has 5.5 mils, so a lot more than this one. I feel like if you are like me, you use up gloss pretty quickly. Look at how much the product contains before you buy it. Okay. Even though this looks like a big tube, I'm thinking the wall of this tube is pretty thick, so you only get like a very thin space for the lip gloss, and the fact that this is like a clear bottle and a clear lip gloss, it's make you think it's like a wide tube with a lot of product, but yeah, it's probably a very narrow tube of space for the gloss, and it only has 3.9, and I can finish this within a month. I won't be repurchase it, but it's a great lip gloss. It's like a very, very shiny gloss, which I really like. I just hope they have like more product. But with that being said, it's not too expensive for a high-end product. I find things in this kind of tube normally contains way more than something in this kind of wand. That's the way how I purchase lip gloss right now. I purchase a lot of these kind of tubey ones because they have more. Like this one have 15 grams, even though it's like a very expensive for a lip gloss, but yeah, still it has 15 grams, which is almost 4 times of the product you get with this, right? But it's not 4 times of the price, right? Because that would be like $80 or something like that. So yeah, make sure you check how much product you're getting before you buy a product. And don't look at how big the tube is. Look at the actual amount, because the tube is kind of misleading a lot of time. And sorry for the rant, the random rant about the lip gloss. And that's it. That's the video. Thank you for watching. Bye.